Hey, I got an idea. Let's build a snake rack. Okay, so I started by laying out my bins on the PVC to trace out how big I'd want my shelves. I initially brought out a T-square to mark out my lines, but then I decided just to use it as a guide as I cut them out. So I'm going to use C-clamps to hold down my T-square as I cut along the edge of it. As I've said before, I don't use a circular saw, and I currently don't have a table saw. So if no one's close by to make my rip cuts, I just use a multi-tool. Of course the edges may be a little rough, but I can just sand them down. Looks pretty straight to me. That boy's good. 6 more to go. Ugh, PVC dust is disgusting. Much worse than sawdust. Feels like digging in the dirt all day. Ideally, what I'd like to have is a track saw. There's one made by Festool that would be perfect for me, but they run like $1,000 to $1,500, so that's gonna have to wait. Maybe one day this channel will afford me such finer things. Alright, one more out of the way. Man, today, it's a hot one. Probably one of the last 90-degree days we'll have this year. And I need to finish this thing up and get my babies on heat before the winter gets here. And before Hurricane Ian hits at the end of the week. Okay, now for step 2. 3, and 4. Now it's time to do the job that I've been least looking forward to. I bought this heat tape. I'm going to inlay it on all the shelves instead of doing heat pads. Normally people hang this over like metal shelves in between the racks, but I'm going to try an inlay. I feel like it'll be cleaner than trying to inlay a whole heat mat, so I'm going to inlay this and I hope it works out. So what I'm doing is I'm setting up my router to be the right depth. I don't want to go too deep. I did go too deep last time. And then I had to backfill it with that metal tape so that my heat was close enough to the bins to be efficient. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use this block as a table and a place to clamp down this PVC. And if you're wondering how I move these blocks and PVC that weigh as much as me, well, that's simple. You didn't know? I'm built like a brick house. Okay, enough playing. Let's route out these shelves. I mean, make a mess. Ugh, I got an idea. I'll glitch that part. And done. So now I'm going to pre-drill the holes in the top and the bottom shelf where my sides will attach. Well, when I glitched the routing, I must have glitched in the side pieces too. Because here they are. I already cut the sides. So now it's time to put them together. Now I got my holes pre-drilled, about to attach the sides, connect the top and the bottom. I love this trusty angle clamp. I've definitely got my money out of it. It's like having an extra set of hands. Alright, so I got it up and standing, putting the shelves in. I'm going to do a big bin, 2 small bins, 2 small bins, big bin, and a big bin. Is that right? Do I have 3 more to fit in there? It's like a tight fit. So I put the bottom in, put the bin in, put the next shelf on top. That way it tells me how high it needs to be to screw it into the sides. But the weight of the shelf pressing down on the bin can make it too tight to pull out. I mean, not too tight to pull out, but too tight for comfort. So I ripped up some cardboard, real thin sheets. I'm going to put it in here as a shim, just to space it up a fraction of a hair. So when I pull it out, the bin slides a little bit easier. Okay, enough talking. Let's finish this up. Good tension. Not too tight, not too loose. Hey, there's 2 more hands. Thanks, Mom. But hey, Larry. Okay, you get the idea of what's going on here. Let's move ahead. Okay, so here I decided to cut some strips of scrap boards and use them as stops on the back of the shelves. Some are PVC and some are wood, but it doesn't matter to me. As long as my noodles can't push their bins out, I'm happy. And my nailer is probably the fastest way to put them on. Alright, the build's complete. Now all I gotta do is paint it, put the heat tape in it, and it's ready to use. As you saw, I was using a multi-tool and not a skill saw when I ripped up that sheet of PVC. So I took my sander and I buffed all the front edges down just so it looks better. Not only that, but the smoother it is, the better the paint will adhere and not chip off as fast. So it's between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We still got 2 or 3 hours of sun left, but it's not real bright. And yeah, I am under a tent. I've been tired of being in direct sunlight for the past week and a half. The day I cut that sheet up, it was blistering out here. But anyway, it's not hot enough. It's a little damp in the air, so I don't feel like it's hot and dry enough to paint this late in the afternoon. Because when it's done, I'm going to have to get it back to the porch to keep the nightly dew off of it. So I'm going to wait until the hot sun early in the afternoon tomorrow to paint this thing up. And then all I got to do is put the heat tape in. Okay, one more disclaimer, and word to the wise. Okay, one more thing I want to explain before I paint it up, and you won't be able to see what I'm talking about. I made one big mistake when I was building this, and I wanted to explain it for any of you DIYers that might be building your own state rack at home. As you can see, if you look close, I had to put a shim in here because the legs are vertical supports. They weren't quite long enough, and I didn't cut them too short at first, or so I thought. Let me explain. So to get the measurement of these support legs, I mean, there's a couple ways to go about doing it. I didn't really want to just measure each bin and know that this is 1/2 inch thick PVC and add it all up and assume that measurement's right. Because I really need these to go in with just that right amount of pressure. Not too tight, not too loose. So I figured it was smarter just to stack it all up and figure out what the height was from there. So what I did was I laid the bottom on the ground, put the next bin in, put a shelf in, put a bin in, put a shelf in, put a bin in, continued that pattern all the way up, laid the top on, and then I measured the distance between the bottom edge of the top and the top edge of the bottom. And that told me how long the vertical supports would be, or so I thought. So I did that. I cut them, placed them in there with the bins and shelves still stacked up, and they fit perfect. So I thought they were right. Then I go to put it together. I actually did put it together, and I realized that the last bin wouldn't fit. It was a 1/2 inch too tall. But how did that happen? But then I got to thinking about it. These bins are really thin plastic, very lightweight. This PVC is a 1/2 inch thick, not very flexible, a lot heavier. You know, PVC is still lightweight, but compared to these bins, it's a lot heavier. And then every layer as you stack them up gets heavier and heavier on the lower bins. These bins being that thin and that lightweight, they flex, they compress, they spread out and flatten some. Where over the course of this many levels, it threw it off a 1/2 inch. So I didn't really want to waste these boards because, you know, right now, with this economy, that's like $40 in the boards. Why waste them? So I figured the easiest way to fix it was just to ship it. Now I'm glad that this happened at the top edge and not the bottom, because there's not really any structural support needed right here. All you gotta do is hold the lid at the top at the right spot to be the lid for the top end. Being that it's PVC, it was pretty simple. I could glue the pieces together and then screw the lid on. PVC, glue to PVC, it's not coming apart. Not to mention the fact that there's no way it's going to affect structural integrity, because there's no weight that's going to be bearing on this thing laterally across the cut. So I don't have to worry about it. Now if it was down there on the leg, you know, and it was wood, it looks kind of wonky right now because it's not painted, and it's no big deal. I'm going to paint it up, and you'll probably be able to see it a little bit if you look close, but it's not. Who cares? Shelf still functions. My snakes will be happy. The temperatures will be right. They got good ventilation. That's all that matters. And when I paint it black, it'll bend in with all my other racks and enclosures, so it'll work out. And that's it for today. I'm going to get back out in the heat of the day tomorrow, paint it black, and it'll be just about done. See y'all tomorrow. Man, what a nice day. Let's do this. Alright guys, we're back. Post-Hurricane Ian, we survived. And now, it's time to complete this rack. One of my boards that blocked the bins from coming out got knocked off during the painting process, so I'm going to put that on real quick. Got my trusty old nailer again, with the 6-amp big boy battery on it. So now the trick is to get this cable through all my track lines, all the way down, and hope the 27 feet of cable fit just perfectly in all these squiggly lines, none of which are measured out or symmetrical. I just freehanded them. Okay, so I've been debating on how to tack this heat cable down. My first plan was to use that metal flashing tape, like I did on the last rack. But these shells are way smoother. Sliding the bins in and out, it's like butter. So I don't really want to add that little bit of a lip of that tape. So then I thought, what kind of glue can hold heat cable that's one, not going to fill up when it gets too hot, or two, not going to ruin the cable itself. Cement glue, definitely out of the picture. That'd probably eat through the cable. Not only that, if I had to pull the cable up, good luck with that. So naturally, that led me to thinking about hot glue. And I thought, that can't work. This is a heat cable. Doesn't hot glue melt? But I looked it up, and they say hot glue typically melts between 60 Celsius and 150 Celsius. I don't really know how to convert it, but thinking that's like 160, 170 degrees plus, Fahrenheit that is. And this heat cable shouldn't be above 130 max. And I would think, depending on how it heats the bins, when I get the thermostat probes on there, probably won't have them above like 110. So in that case, shouldn't melt the hot glue. So I'm thinking about running the experiment. Probably won't glue like the entire track down, just lay beads in certain spots. That way if I have to pull the cable up later, if it messes up, or the glue just doesn't hold, then I don't have to peel that much glue off. And then in that case, I just put the metal flashing tape on it and be done with it. So that's what I'm going to do now. Let's get started. Oh my God. What did I get myself into? Tired of seeing these spaghetti string maps. Okay, so I pre-fit this heat cable. And it looks really nice. But it only made it halfway up. So I'm going to have to buy another one. 27 feet. Yeah, wasn't a great estimate. However, I didn't know that the first 6 feet are not even heated. But that's okay, because it made it exactly halfway to the center. So if I buy one more, it should make it all the way to the top. And my thermostat is a dual probe. So it'll work out perfect. And I really like how clean this looks. Alright, time to glue it down. Okay, on second thought, the hot glue gun was a fail. It won't hold this stuff. It's something about the coating on the cable. So I had this HVAC flashing type tape. That was the original plan, was to use it. However, 2 reasons I didn't want to use it. First of all, when you use flashing tape on these heat cables, you really don't want to use the stuff with printed ink on it, because it does put off a smell. So what you normally want to do when you have tape like that, is take some alcohol and wipe it down, and then it'll pull the ink off. But the other reason I didn't want to use it was this stuff is extra thick. The stuff I use on the latch rack, it's a lot thinner than this. So it wasn't going to raise the bid up that much, make it tight and get in the shelf. So I don't really want to use this stuff either. So it looks to me like I might have to put this on hold. I got to buy another cable anyway. So it looks like I'll be going on Amazon and ordering a cable and some tape. And then I'll get back to it. So one more day delayed. But it wouldn't hurt it to air out another day anyway, because I can slightly smell the paint still. Okay, so Amazon was saying it was going to take a whole week for that tape to get here. So I'm going to go out to Lowe's and pick some up. Come on, let's go. Hold up. That's not Lowe's. Nah, that's the big boy toy store. Ah, yeah.
PSA 9.
The yeet cannon?
The yeet cannon.
Okay, I didn't buy anything. Except a yeet cannon strip lower. Alright, let's go get that tape. Alright, now we can go to the right store. Yeah, this one right here will work. It appears to be a lot thinner than what I got at home. Okay, now we can head home. Home sweet home. Alright guys, check this out. My house is a wreck right now. But I got the other heat cable and I taped it in. And now I got the rack in. I got a whole lot of cleaning up to do. But hey, at least it's finally in the house. One step closer to get my babies in their new home. So now what I'm doing is I'm mounting up my thermostat right here on the wall. And I got to get it set up and configured inside of the app. It's a Wi-Fi thermostat, so I can monitor all the temperatures while I'm on the go. So this is actually the InkBird IPT 2-channel thermostat. So by 2-channel means it's got 2 probes, and that's good because I had to have 2 heat cables. Both of the heat cables made it about halfway to this shelf. And as you can see, these 2 center shelves, I have 2 small bins instead of the large bin. So there's a gap in between them. Right there at the end of the cables, where I have them taped down between these 2 bins, I took the temperature probes, taped them across the top. So now probe 1 should be getting the temperatures of the cable down here, and probe 2 should be getting the temperatures of those bins up there. So now I'm going to put it on the app. I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi. The first one I bought gave me a little bit of complications, so I'm going to screenshot that process on the app. So maybe if you get one, it won't be so difficult for you. Okay, you can start by opening up the InkBird Pro app. You can hit the plus sign to add a new device. Click on temperature control, IPT 2-channel, then sign into your Wi-Fi, and it connects to the device. I'm going to rename mine the female rat. And now it's successfully added. So now to configure the temperature control, from the main menu you click on the device, starting with probe 1, click the settings button, then we'll set the starting temperature. I'm going to start with, let's say, 92 degrees. And then I'll go to the stop temperature, and I'm going to set that at 100. Alright, and then we'll go back. Now we'll go to probe 2, set the start temperature to 92, stop temperature to 100. And now that I think about it, I'm going to set the start temperature to about 98. Because I'm just running tests and I don't need it to fluctuate much. Alright, so that's it. And real quick, I'm going to run back to probe 1 and do the same thing. Set that to 97 to 100. I tell you what, it sure was easier that time. So now all I gotta do is fill up the bins with substrate, put some hides and some water bowls in them, decorate them a little bit, and they're ready to move in. However, before I put them in there, I want to make sure my thermostat's regulated right. So the way I work my bins is I keep a thermostat controller, like the InkBird, mounted up to control the heat cable or the heat match to all my bins. But inside of each bin, I keep a thermostat hygrometer made by Lewy. Most of mine are Wi-Fi, some of them are just Bluetooth. But I keep one in each bin so I can make sure that the heat cable is heating that bin to the optimal temperature. So this is Lewy's new mini Wi-Fi therm. What I really like about these, there's no buttons, there's no screen, nothing to take on moisture or too much heat. Because I've had some of them, especially the ones with the screen, when they stay in heat too long or moisture, they get where you can't read the screen. They still function, they still send alerts to Bluetooth to your phone, but can't really read the screen. So I like these, especially for the small bins. But I'm going to show you the older model, the Bluetooth model. I have one in this bin. I think this is Mr. Moji. Ah, it is Mr. Moji. Because he's shed. And I can tell by the shed that it's a condom pattern. Good job, Mr. Moji. Maybe you'll eat this time. So this is the Bluetooth model. It's got a screen built in. Now these screens haven't gone bad. I've had no problem with too much heat or moisture or anything. However, keeping these in the hollow nose bins, there's not much moisture. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. That's just my python bin that I gotta worry about that. And any other animal that requires high humidity. So anyway, I'm gonna take this therm right here out of Mr. Moji's bin, and I'm gonna stick it in some of these bins back here. I'm just gonna monitor it for the next 24 or 48 hours, move it from bin to bin, let it acclimate for an hour or so, and just monitor what the temperatures are getting to, and see if it's set right. I'm thinking I can just lay this in there and get a temperature, but it might not be accurate. So I think I'm gonna put some substrate in there real quick, and that way it'll at least be slightly more accurate. Okay, I got a couple inches of substrate in there. Right now, the ambient temperature in this snake room is 82 degrees. Over here, my Scarlet's gauge is reading 84 degrees. So, put it in here. My heat cable's on. I'll let it sit there for an hour or so and check. See how high I get. Then it's ready for the babies. Speaking of babies, let me check out Moji and his new skin. Hey Moji. Where you at, Moji? I know I'm messing up all your tunnels. Where you at, good boy? There you are, Momo. Yeah. You flurrying like your sister? Oh man, you got beautiful new skin, buddy. There's little Moji. Oh, you still got some stuck skin, buddy. You still got a little bit of shed on you, buddy. See if I can help you get that off. There we go. Got most of it off. Say bye-bye, Moji. I tell you what, this thing's been a lot of work. It might not be perfect, but it's sure going to get the job done. So all that's left now, after I find out my temperature is regulating right, is to put the babies in. I got to fill all the bins with substrate, put water in them, give them some odds, some decorations, and they're ready to move in. But if you want to see the babies moving into the new houses, you got to come back to the next video. Because this was already over 20 minutes, and I'm done. Alright guys, if you stuck with me for this long, I appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the build? How bad did I do? Let me know if you got any tips and suggestions to make one better the next time. Also, I'm going to give a link in the description for 2 products I used in this video. The Retney heat cable, 23 foot, 50 watt cable. They come in different wattage and lengths, so you can choose which one you want. Then the InkBird IPT 2-channel, dual probe, Wi-Fi temperature controller. So I'll link both of these in the description down below. And again, thanks for watching, and until next time, y'all have a good one. Daisy, what are you barking at? Chucky the monkey? You go outside? Give me that wiggy waggy tail, Daisy dude.